Did you know I'm bilingual? That basically means I can communicate with the world in two different languages, Portuguese and English. My first language is Portuguese. I only came to learn English when I was about 14, quite late actually. My first contact with the English language was when I was a child. I used to play video games on my Super Nintendo, my Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, and also PC games. So, playing those games, I came to know a bit of the English language, not very much. But it wasn't a strange language to me anymore. I had some kind of connection with it. And then, later on in my life, I started to listen to international artists, mainly British artists. 9 out of my top 10 bands and artists are British, specifically from England. So I wanted to know what they were singing about in the lyrics of the songs. And when I started to use the internet, it blew my mind. It really did. The internet helped me very much to develop my language abilities. First of all, my grammar, my writing, my reading, and then, later, my speaking abilities. I would go to a myriad different websites, all in English, and I would try to understand what was being said. Eventually, I managed to do it. Meanwhile, at school, my friends and I were having fun. We just loved to impersonate the teachers. So, for instance, if the grammar teacher would go like, "You've got to do your homework! I've told you before, boys!" When she would leave the classroom, we would gather round in a circle of friends, just about 4, 5, maybe 6 guys, including me, and we would all go like, "You've got to do your homework! I told you before!" So that was basically when I learned that I could actually imitate people. I could observe their behavior, mainly their way of talking and their way of acting, their gestures, and I could imitate, impersonate teachers and also my colleagues and friends. I can't tell you that this was very conscious, but somehow I just put together these two things. My learning of English and my ability to imitate or to impersonate people. It worked. Later I found out that this ability to imitate people was not limited to Portuguese and English, but also any other kind of language, even languages that I don't speak or don't understand at all. I can imitate or impersonate Russian people speaking. Why? Because I can observe them and then try to recreate what I've just heard and seen. And actually, I've got a video in my channel which is about fake languages. I do 9 fake languages using this ability of mine. You can check it out later. So, I would listen to interviews here on YouTube by different kinds of English artists that I enjoyed. The Beatles, Pink Floyd, The Who, Genesis, Yes, etc. I observed very closely their way of pronouncing the words, including the way that English people, specifically, put together some kinds of words. For example, saw it. English people would say, saw it. I saw it yesterday. So I noticed these very little things that native speakers do when they speak their own languages, which are things that foreign speakers don't do, for the simple fact that they haven't grown up in that specific country or that specific region, so they can't really notice these very discrete language tricks. That's not something you learn at school in any country. They can't teach you those discrete little tricks of native speakers when they speak their own languages. That's something you really have to notice by yourself. So basically, that was the way that I actually learned how to speak properly this language that came to be my second language. Nowadays, I am a bilingual, like I said, a late bilingual, but I'm happy with it. I've been to the United Kingdom twice, England, Scotland, and Wales, and my accent was complemented by several different kinds of people. I'm not claiming to have a perfect accent. What I'm claiming to have is an accent that is almost indistinguishable from a native accent. So if you don't listen to me speaking very attentively, very closely, it's very difficult to spot my little imperfections. Imperfections that reveal I'm not really a native speaker. So basically, that's my secret. If you want some advice from me, if you are a foreign speaker, you are trying to learn the language, and you care very much about its pronunciation, like I do, if you want to sound like a native speaker of any language, not only English, what do you have to do? You have to be observant. You have to observe the way native speakers speak, because they are the ones who actually speak the language like it's supposed to be spoken. They speak it properly. So just listen to native speakers speaking the language and try to imitate these people. So what do you need to do this? Well, just a good power of observation. If you can observe something and then recreate it afterwards, if you're able to imitate people and sounds, you can apply that ability of yours to language learning. I don't want this video to be very long, so to sum it all up, my advice is be like a baby. If you act like a baby, if you listen to people speaking, and then you internalize that speaking in your mind, and then you try to recreate that speaking afterwards, you will be able to communicate in any language you want with the perfect accent that you desire. It would be very utopian to say that this works for everybody. It doesn't. Just like some people are good at math and some aren't, I'm not. Some people are good at languages and some people aren't. But if you are good with languages in general, just try this. This is my recipe for a successful accent in any language. Just try it, and then you can come here again and tell me if it worked. Good luck!